Hey everybody, it's Brad Montgomery. I've missed you. How are you? Have you been washing your hands? Here's what I'm thankful for now on day 5 billion of coronavirus quarantine. I'm thankful for hand lotion, right? I feel like I've been washing my hands so much that my hands are nutty. And so, anyway, just for what it's worth, hand lotion. All right, here's what's happening today. Really good things. First of all, besides telling you a little bit about what happened this week, I'm going to welcome the amazing, the inspirational, the motivational, the just darn right nice guy, Chad Hymas. He's one of the many motivational speakers I really look up to, and I can't wait to introduce him to you. And we've got something to talk about that I think you're going to love. Namely, we're going to talk about if motivational speakers are more upbeat than the rest of us during crappy quarantines. You want to hear about that, right? And then also, I got something fun. I've been working on a magic trick that works through the camera, and I think that's going to be cool. But let me tell you what we did yesterday. My wife lined up something awesome for my family, which is uh, we were volunteering at a food bank, stuffing boxes. We did that on Monday, and that's mind-numbing work. Trying to get 1 can of green beans, 1 can of canned vegetable bits. By the way, this food did not look attractive. 2 cans of Chef Boyardee ravioli. Right, and these horrible prepared foods, the best thing in the box by far was a can of tuna fish. So we packed that. We packed 1,000 bags, uh, and then we went on Wednesday to give with the food bank in partnership with the city of Aurora, which is a suburb of Denver I live in. We went to this big parking lot in the high school to give these things away. We knew that it was going to take about 4 or 5 hours to give them away, starting at 10 a.m. So we're there early, and it's kind of fun because there's a lot of activity. There was a lot of chaos because the food bank and the city of Aurora had not partnered this way. They had not done this kind of mass giveaway. So there was the logistical problems that you'd expect. And so we got there, and it was nutty. It was crazy nutty until it started, and it became nuttier. It was just chaos. But I gotta tell you, it was eye opening because I live in a pretty I live in a suburb where people are not hungry. People in my suburb probably did not drive to that food giveaway. And then all the people I'm talking to, the people I'm closest with, they are not driving to get in line to give away food. But then when we got there, we realized, holy crap, we are. It was mind blowing. This giveaway started at 10 a.m. When people started arriving at 7:30 a.m., the parking lot was filling up. 2.5 hours early. And that became more chaotic. So they were expecting a kind of a steady stream of cars. It was pretty clear that the city of Aurora called in more cops to do traffic. They had people in a line for they thought maybe a mile for this thing, and we hadn't even opened up. And then when we opened up, it was crazy, and our job was to give 1 bag of food per person. So if you had 2 people in your car, you got 2 bags. 4 people in your family. But that quickly is nuts because we just realized it wasn't enough. So we're opening these trunks and opening the back seat and putting this very helpful but just totally insufficient food in people's back seat. And I was so delighted to give them that food because I knew they wanted it and they'd been waiting so long, but also just horrified that I just knew it wasn't sufficient and there was a lot of crappy food in there. And the best stuff was tuna fish, which my kids hate. And the one thing that really stuck out to me is there's one guy who waited in line. So most people had families. There were at least two. One woman had 11 people. We were giving her food for 11 people. One guy was just by himself, and I went around to the front seat to put this bag. And here's the thing: not all the bags were equal because they were stuffed by different volunteers. Some bags were a little bit more wholesome and awesome, and some bags were a little bit more skimpy. And just by chance, I grabbed one of the skimpy bags and I put it in his seat. And he looked up to me and he said, "Is that all?" And I didn't know what to do. I felt so crappy, and I was kind of a deer in the headlights. I So I just said, "I'm sorry. I wish we had more." And that made me feel crappy because this guy needed more. He got like 2 cans of cream beans and a thing of horrible pasta. It just wasn't good, and it wasn't enough. That was going to be like it was going to get him through the next day, maybe. And that sure put a face on it for me. It's rough out there. I think as we talk about opening the country, we talk like, oh, things are going to get good. We're going to get to go back and sit in Starbucks. I'm going to be able to go to Denny's and order a Grand Slam. I'm going to be able to go to happy hour there and sit on the porch and have a margarita. And we start to think like things are normal. They're not normal. This food bank ran out of food in less than an hour. We're not totally sure, but I think it was like 30 minutes. 4 hours of giveaway done in 30 minutes. Um, Thousands of people turned away hungry. And again, the people who did get food didn't get, it just wasn't enough. If you're hungry, that was a good tidy over E. Tidy over E? I don't know. But wasn't enough. But here's the thing. It was awesome. Even though we felt bad about the people that did not get enough, my family and I, we were giddy afterwards. We just felt so good about having something to do, and in particular, something to do that we felt was important and gave us meaning and gave us purpose. And like my kids were laughing for a couple of hours because there was this one woman in charge of some volunteers that was difficult. And she wasn't, my kids were kind of realizing as she was giving the directions, my kids saw the problems and saw the solutions when this woman didn't even see there was a problem. And that was sort of good for them because they're realizing whatever. And I'm like, yeah, welcome to life. Not all people are equal. That woman's difficult, welcome. Anyway, it was a really, really fun time. And it brought me back to this one thing that I think is so important, which is this. The best way we can serve ourselves and put ourselves in a better mood, improve our crappy days, is to invest in somebody else's crappy day. If you're having a bad day, just test it. Try to make someone else's day less crappy. And what I think you're going to find is what science tells us, which is there's a total selfish component of being selfless. It's amazing. And this isn't new to me, of course, but I want you to know there's a bunch of scientists who have worked on this. It's related to gratitude. When we invest in others, we improve ourselves. So if you're having a crappy day, and I don't mind telling you, I've had a bunch of them, yo. Best thing you can do is think about something else. By getting out of our own heads, by thinking about others, by trying to do our best to help others, even though it was insufficient, we felt happier. Is this something you can do today? Yeah. So what's next? I'm super excited because I'm gonna dial in right now. We're gonna bring in Chad Hymas. Let me see if I can call him. Chad Hymas is he's one of the many people in the speaking world that I just love this, and I can't wait for you to meet him. Come on, Chad. There he is. Chad Vavey.
Hey, how's it going on?
Turn your camera on, brother. There you are. My
We're good.
people. I've missed you. I was just telling
We work.
I was telling the thousands of people watching us right now. No, I swear, Chad, thousands. How much I admire you. You the bee's
Hey,
knees,
well, that's a
baby.
little over exaggerated, but hey, I'll take it.
No, I don't think so. I've been at this game long enough to see who's good. I got it. You are. I never told you this. I don't think, Chad. I think one of the reasons I admire you so much with what you do on stage. Can't believe we're doing this. Whatever. I think you are. You do, I don't see your technique. Sometimes when you and I see speakers, we can see them doing a technique that they learned or practiced, or they feel like speakers should do, or whatever. I see none of that with you, and I love that.
Well,
I know you have technique. I know there's things that you do on purpose because they help you. But holy cow!
a lot of it's my circumstance, I think. I mean, I'm in a chair, 95% numb, and so you can call it technique. I'm just trying to get by. I mean, I'm just trying to, watch for the little divots on a stage so I don't dump out and speak from the floor, so to speak. So you can call it technique if you want, but I'm just trying to make it all go fluid. So
Yeah, that's modest, dude. You're doing a lot more up there than watching to make sure your chair doesn't fall off the stage. I promise you, and you know it. Hey, dude, I wanted to talk to you about this. We were talking a couple days ago, and we were talking about how are you doing? Are you mopey? Are you able to be more upbeat and more positive because of your job as a motivational speaker. How's that going?
Well, the effort is there. Uh, but to tell you that this hasn't gotten to me would be a lie. I mean, this is equal to, if not more, self-deprecating than when I broke my neck, Brad. I mean, I'm just saying, I was in that hospital bed for 2 months. I mean, and I know here I have freedom to wheel out to the office, but for 19 years, I've been used to like being engaged with people, going to a park with my family, going to a restaurant of my choice, the freedoms that we have all enjoyed. And to be told that I can't go shake somebody's hand or give my mother a hug, or, we had a son come home from Guam that was serving a mission there. And so when he came home, we, as a family, all had to quarantine. I'm just saying that this is a whole different paralysis, and it's something that I can now relate with everybody. And it's just, I'm finding myself going through the same mentality and mindset that I was going through 19 years ago when I was stuck in that hospital room. So now everybody's kind of experiencing what I did back then. I would probably pick that over this. I mean, this is just, it's been hard.
What?
I don't want to, I'm just going to say, I'm just going to be honest. I've never tried to be anything but honest, but let's give our people no hyperbole. Let's make this real. Let's make this real. This has been tough. I love to be positive, and so I try and feed myself with positive messages in the morning, hang out with people like you, look at some good YouTube videos, TED Talks, whatever it might be, for each individual. But at the end of those talks, man, they're over and done with it like in 15 minutes, and then it's on me. That's why I don't believe in the phrase motivational speaker, because they motivate for 15, 20 minutes, just like the doctors were motivating when they were there at the hospital, but they went home at 5 o'clock at night, So now it behooves each one of us to be the motivators of our own lives and of our mindsets and of ourselves. And that's not an easy thing when you're alone and can't talk to anybody, at least in person. And I love the virtual setup, just like we're virtual now. And I love the fact that we talked yesterday. It was very, very refreshing for me. It was a drug that I needed to be able to talk to you and just talk real. And that's great. I miss being with you in person and being on the stage with you. I miss seeing you at the convention. I miss it like you wouldn't believe. So I appreciate the question. I hope that's an honest answer.
Yeah, it's honest, but I want to go back. Did you say 19 years ago you had the accident and lost the use of your legs? 19 years?
Yeah, my legs and my hands.
And your hands.
So I lost my hands and I lost 95%. So I'm numb from the armpits to the toes. So I lost a couple other limbs. I mean, I lost some serious stuff, and I'm my hands are numb, and I had the movement that you're seeing right here is just shoulders, and I'm in a push chair, and after doing it for 19 years, my hands just know where to touch to push, so.
But I obviously have not gone through that. You're saying you're comparing that accident to this pandemic?
Oh yeah, because I'm going through the same stuff. I'm just saying. I know when I got married to Shondell, I said for better or worse. I'm sure I said something like that, just like you did when you
Pretty
got
sure
married.
you did.
None of us plan on the love of our life having to help us shower. Now, when I'm on the road, I do it by myself, or I'll have somebody that I'm not in love with help me. Does that make sense? Having the woman that I absolutely love, I'm just trying to be real, buddy. I know showering with our spouse sounds like fun. It ain't fun. Shondell does not like me to. She is understanding, and she allows me the space, but she doesn't like the fact that I'll take 2 hours to shower, which I don't mind, by the way, or a couple hours to get myself dressed, which I don't mind. It's just like people going to the gym for a couple hours, or somebody having a cup of coffee for a couple hours in the morning. Whatever. Me, it's just getting dressed. I don't mind it. But it does take away from my time with my younger children. So we have children that are older that were born before the accident. There's a 7-year gap. We have the 2 younger children that get together for some family time every morning. Maybe it's a devotional. They have breakfast together. So if I'm getting dressed by myself, I'm missing that. I'm missing that. And Shondell does not like that.
It's hard.
I don't know what to say, buddy.
Let's
I
follow
don't know
that
what.
up with a
I
joke,
just,
buddy.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, we can talk about jokes left and right, but and so I'm just being real. But no, Shondell and I are good. I just have to learn to not be so prideful and to surrender to others' desires to help.
Right.
And when I do that, I find that my day is better, even though it wasn't the way I wanted it to go or the way I planned it. So what I'm learning right now, Brad, is that everything in my life has been so structured. Everything from the food that I eat and what time that I eat, so I can watch my weight because I don't exercise like most. Everything's been so regimented. Landing at an airport, paying a bellhop or the airport guy to get my bag, finding somebody outside to lift me up and put me in the Uber, getting to the hotel, checking in, getting on the bed, stretching out my legs because I've been on an airplane for 3 hours, 2 hours, an hour, and then getting back on my wheelchair and answering emails or doing it from the bed on the phone. It's just regimented. It's time. Here, there's been a lot of stagnancy, I feel sometimes like kelp, just kind of floating in the ocean, just kind of, just kind of stagnant, just kind of watching other sharks go by.
I don't know if it's weirder that you just compared you in this situation to kelp or the fact that I understood what you mean. Kelp.
That makes me feel better because now you can understand what it's like to, you know. In fact, I hope I can say this on your group visit today that I have learned through these last 2 months that I truthfully have met people in my travels and even visited with people on this virtual system that we're all engaged in now. I have visited with people that are more paralyzed than I will ever be in my lifetime. And that's because they're refusing to adapt to some changes that are happening in our world. They're still clinging on to the way they used to do things, the way they used to go to a Costa Vida or Olive Garden, or the way that they used to court their spouse, or the way that they used to, go to the movie theater. And I am miserable when I cling to that. I'm unhappy. But when I learn about Netflix and I'm willing to do what you're doing about, the virtual and how we're learning this in the studio, and I'm doing the same thing you're doing and the lighting and trying to engage with people on a virtual platform, I'm more happy. So
I hear you.
I don't know.
It's just
You,
astounding.
you, you get,
I, I'm I, I don't know how shallow this makes me, but it makes me feel better to have you say this reminds me of an accident where I got paralyzed. I just
oh yeah,
I just can't believe it, to be honest. That seems so much worse.
buddy. I've just gone back and read. I know it seems like that, but I'm just saying it's not. I I guess there at the hospital, I was still surrounded by people, Brad. Every I was surrounded by optimistic people saying, "Chad, you can do this. Chad, you can push. Chad, you can feed yourself. You don't need your hands. Just hook up a device." And now the device in today's world is called a virtual camera or a green screen or lighting. But back then it was just a toothbrush duct taped to my hands. New technology. And once I created myself in my mind that, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to do this. And you know what the truth was, Brad? This is the truth, is that I was not willing to do that for myself, but I was willing to do it for other people. And so I think that's what a huge message right there for people that are listening today to you and I is there are some things that you and I and the others listening won't do for ourselves because we're too stuck in our old habits, paralyzed in those habits. But when we think about how we might rob others, like our children, from not getting involved or going to the park on our own, just our family, just to, still social distance, but still engage with our family, we're robbing them of an opportunity. And I learned that early on with my physical paralysis, that when I chose to stay in bed because it was easier to watch The Price is Right or Judge Judy, which I did for like 5 months, I robbed my children from playing some games out on the grass, even though I couldn't play catch. And I'm sick and tired of robbing people. That's why I love the fact that you and I engaged in conversation yesterday. I love this call today. To me, this is an opportunity to not rob other people, and I'll do things for others that I won't do for myself. And so it's good motivation. People are my motivation of choice.
Mic drop. Okay, it's funny because I told you on this call that I was going to ask you a little bit about one. Do you get mopey like the rest of us, or are you Mr. Positive all the time? Um, Covered that. So you said, "Heck yeah," and then I asked you for. I told you we were going to talk about hope. Like, what do you see for us? And you gave us this. If you can't do it for yourself, do it for others. Holy boom! Yeah,
I
it's
just,
funny. I
as
never,
far as,
even though before I called you, I talked about how there's a selfish component of being selfless. It makes you happier.
yeah,
Um, but
yeah.
having you say like it's a selfish thing to not give the best you that you've got to your peeps, whoever that is, that's a slightly different thing, and I love that.
It's robbing them. And as far as hope goes, it's very, very easy to lose hope. It's not an uncommon factor right now that our suicide rates are high. In fact, you and I have had some dear friends that you and I are associated with in our business world whose family members have taken their lives. That's not unknown knowledge. It's knowledge that's there for everybody to see and read on social media to be aware of. And my point being is that there's no such thing as false hope, no matter what people are going through, only false hopelessness. And the reason why I say that, Brad, is because for everything that you and I know about COVID and about some sort of a cure or vaccination, there is so much more that we don't know. And tomorrow will be a better day. And as long as I keep that phrase in my mind, for everything that I do know, there's so much more that I don't know. And tomorrow is going to be a better day. And when I say that to myself and believe it and then act on it, tomorrow does become a better day for me. And that's how I define hope. I mean, it's not anything spiritual. It's not something that I'm pulling from a verse. I'm not against people that have spiritual hope, and I'm not against that at all. I think that's great. That's just how I define it.
Yeah. If there's any, if there was any doubt in my mind that you're a better human than I am, this just proved it, yo. Hey, there's
Knock that off.
a speaking pal, Jean Marie's on the has a comment. She wants to ask us a question. Give us perspective. What are we willing to do for others? So, and I would follow that up, Chad. You're like you live in a shoe. I think you've got so many kids. So what would you do for others as the person you are now? And but also, what if you lived alone, or your family wasn't as big as yours? What would you do?
And well, I'd have to number one find a way because I depend on other strengths to compensate for my weaknesses. I'll give you an example. The older boys, now you're going to get me to be emotional. I know that's, but my older boys have never said to me, Dad, not once have I ever heard, Dad, sure wish you could play some catch, man. Dad, sure wish you could, do a layup in basketball, or Dad, play kickball. Dad, we sure wish you could do that with us, Dad. I've never once heard that in 19 years. I have heard this. Hey, Dad, we're going to go out and play some kickball. You're going to be the goalie, Dad. And I'm thinking, I don't want to be the goalie. I mean, I don't want to get hit by the ball. And Dad, no, you don't understand, Dad. You're numb, won't hurt. No one will ever score on you, Dad, because we're going to put the cones right by your tires. We just need you to be the target, Dad. You're out here, Dad. I mean, the message is, when she's talking about involvement, and her question's phenomenal. I would have to find a way, but I am so much better when I'm with family, when I'm with people. When I'm not with my family and I've been out on the road, I depend on them, and I love to go down in the foyers and engage with people and just talk and meet with people. It's my drug of choice during a very suicidal or depressing time to live. Um, Suicide is not an option for Chad Hymas because I would be hurting so many other people, and I'd be taking away from my opportunity to be involved in other people's lives, and I don't want to rob from that.
Right.
I'll leave this life when my Creator decides that. But I hope that gives some perspective to her question. I think that's a great question. If I didn't have my family, I would find a way, and I do find a way. I mean, I'm the only quadriplegic that's known of that travels alone. How does that work?
Yeah.
I find people to compensate for my weakness. They lift me up and carry me on the plane. And when I arrive to the destination that I'm going to, a stranger picks me up. That's how it works.
Right.
And that's how I meet people. It's unreal how it works. Today in my office, and I'm talking to you from my office. Looks like you're talking to me from a prison wall or something. I'm not sure where you're at, but you're more trapped than me. Look at that background you got there. That's a cool background, by the way. No, I love to, so as you know, and you were talking to her earlier, Brad, Leslie. I have had some rough days in the last couple of weeks, and Leslie puts perspective in me that makes me want to be better. So I'm really trying to surround myself by people that build me up. There's one analogy I'll just share real quick. It's called the analogy of the lid. The lid is where you're at. So if you're a number 4, you can only bring people up to a number 3. Well, I'm hanging around some assistants in my office that are number 5s. So they're helping me get up to that. The analogy of the lid is a capstone. It's the highest you can go. And so I'm really trying to be around people that make me be the best that I can be. And right now, that's my office staff. That's talking to people like you, Christine Cashin. We were on a phone call with her yesterday. Tammy Evans, Ty Bennett. I mean, Eileen McDar. You and I were talking to those people. They all make me want to be better people. And when I do that throughout my day's pretty dang good. So.
Talking to you makes me better. I think I'm up to at least a 4.5.
Hey, there you go. Well, I'm only at a 4, so you can't be at a 4.5. Now I need to start learning. I don't know where the measurement tool comes in, but that's the analogy. I learned that from John Maxwell. I thought that was when I listened to him share that, it really inspired me, Brad. So I liked that analogy a lot.
Well, a couple things. I want to close this thing up because, and I'll tell you why. Here's the funny reason why I think we should end. Because I read about the perfect length for a Facebook Live, which just is evidence that we're all learning stuff that we didn't like. I don't know what I'm doing, I guess is what I'm telling you. Everything. There's nothing today I know what I'm doing. But I can tell you this. Talking to you is always a treat. But that meant a lot to me. Just hearing you say you're robbing people if you're not at your best and giving your... That was helpful, dude. That's a nice metaphor.
So it's a true principle. If I choose to not go out on the grass and play soccer with the kids, I'm robbing them.
Right.
And I just think it's good practice not to take from other people.
It is pretty hilarious. Hey, Dad, just come back here and let us beat the crap out of you. Because
Exactly
we love
the
you,
truth.
Dad. Stand there.
You know what really sucks is when I'm disappointed in something they've done, or and I'm maybe the younger kids, because we adopted 2. You know this. So we have Gracie from Guatemala and Caleb from Ethiopia. So our family is pretty diverse, and we have 4 children total, not 12 like Brad said in a shoe. We have 4. But whenever I get upset at the younger kids because maybe their room's not clean or their homework hasn't been done, they just run for the stairs, and it ticks me off because Dad, come get me, Dad, come get me, and I've had to throw things at them just to get them to listen to me. So it's this home life has been not the home. Just discipline, just pure discipline. I don't get involved in their homework. That's Shondel's job. Just trying to teach them to clean the room, and they go to the middle of the stairs. I can't do a whole lot about that.
That is hilarious how, that's the thing you cannot possibly do is go up the 6 stairs and get them.
Oh, I mean, I guess in sleep I can go dump water on their face or something like that. But
Catch them later.
I'm not that cruel.
Dude, you're a rock star. All right, so here's what we learned.
This has been fun, man. I've always enjoyed talking to you. I love it. Makes me feel good.
We
You're
learned
real, you're authentic, you're not fake, and you don't shoot bull. I mean, you talk how it is. You talk real. It's realism, and we don't see a whole lot of that. You know, a lot of times on social media, people put their best self forward, and that's not a bad thing because I think it helps them be better themselves. It holds them accountable to live up to those standards. But once that screen goes off, Brad, right? Once they're done posting that, what's life really like? And that's what you and I have talked about today,
Yeah, that
right?
is so wacky to me. Like, does it really help for them? Like, just assuming people are saying, "Hey, life is better than it really is." I just don't understand that how that helps, other than for 3 seconds.
Well, yeah, and it might help. It might be. It's certainly not a permanent fix, right? But it might help them incrementally get their mindset better. You know, and that's fine. I'm not gonna judge that, the truth is, you know, whenever people post on social media, it's usually best foot forward and kind of perception, public perception. And so I love the fact that today has not been a depressing conversation. It certainly hasn't been a fake conversation. It's been real and been truth, and I like that.
Well, I kind of feel, Chad. I think we've talked about this. I feel like you use the verb to rob. I think we're robbing people on social media when we put our best face forward when it's so
Eh?
discordant from reality. Because I think it just makes other people feel bad in a time where we don't have a lot of cushion. We don't have a lot of extra bandwidth. And sorting through a
Absolutely.
day to try to
Point.
try to get up to a 4 or a 4.5 is hard during quarantine and maybe impossible for some. And then instead of cheering us up, people make us feel crappy by saying, "I never yell
You
at my
bring
kids. I'm happy. I have a lot of work."
Yeah, no, your point's valid. I think you're right. I think you're spot on. I totally agree. I certainly couldn't live like that. My social media really is generally focused around those things that I do have control over, and I try and be just as bold and as real as I possibly can. Um, there's nothing fake on there and I'm not, and you can, isn't it funny? You can kind of tell because behind the scenes, or if you dig a little deeper, and especially if they're relatives or friends or people in your industry, you know where they're really at. And so I get it that sometimes perception, we try and do that to draw in clientele and draw in money, but there's a lot more to life than money and clientele and perception. Truth overrides all that.
Right on, brother. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you how awesome you are. I'm going to tell you that Gene Murray, my buddy, says our shirts match. Yeah.
Oh
Thanks,
yeah,
Gene Marie.
yeah. You should come live out on the ranch, but that's a ranch. So you could actually. I don't know if you can ride a horse or not. But we have a pony for you.
That uh, that wouldn't be so funny if it wasn't kind of true.
Take me up on that, buddy. Come out to the ranch. We'd love to have you.
I want to come. Yeah, what I really want is come to the ranch and give you a hug, and we're gonna have to wait for both, aren't we?
Yeah, but we will do that.
All right. I promised you guys a magic trick. I promise I'm gonna save that for next time. So hit like or whatever, hit
Okay.
hearts or whatever, and that way you'll make sure you'll see the next one. Chad, dang it, you're awesome.
Thanks for having me, Brad. Hey, everybody. Thanks again for joining us today, and I hope Brad has me back again here in the near future. We'd love to do it.
You're awesome, Chad. I'm glad we're buddies. Thanks for taking the time. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, man. Take care. Bye, guys.